have a 2-for-1 for you today. If you want to save time in your reading instruction, then we think the Reading Simplified activities are the way to go. And if you need to reach your students from a distance but want to do it in an engaging way that's also easy for you, then Seesaw is the way to go. So I'm excited to marry those two things together for all of you today with our Reading Simplified activities using Seesaw. And we have a guest educator here, a Seesaw certified educator, Stormy Daniels, to share us some secrets, share with us some secrets about Reading Simplified. I'm so excited to have her here. She's been here before, for those of you who are faithful following us. So let me turn it over to Stormy to introduce herself a little bit and tell a little bit about, your Reading Simplified experience to frame it, the intro part, and then we'll start to get into the tech and the power of Seesaw and some of its new features.
Okay, hello. Thank you, Dr. Ginsberg, for having me here again. I feel honored. I am, first of all, currently a second grade teacher. So I'm in this with you guys. We will be doing remotely again. So I really get where we're at, right? I have also been a part of the Reading Simplified Academy for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. And so when the first grade teacher, it totally revolutionized the way reading instruction happened and the way students learn to read simply, right? With the Reading Simplified program. But anyway, so today, I just want to show you how we can take that strong pedagogy that we learn in the Academy. And if you're new to the Reading Simplified Academy, that's okay. You'll hear a lot about it tonight as well, but I highly encourage it. And if you're new to Seesaw, it's okay. So we're going to talk about both of them, but really talk about how we're going to be successful no matter how. All right.
That's awesome. So yeah, for those of you who are maybe brand new to even to Reading Simplified, it is a streamlined way of teaching reading for beginners or strugglers. So this applies to a lot of different age groups because many of us encounter kids who are struggling in their reading. A lot of what you'll see today is more kind of geared to K2, but a lot of intervention teachers might use the same exact protocol. This is a lesson plan that's just very similar to what we recommend as a Reading Simplified approach. And we prepare teachers and grandparents and parents to learn the Reading Simplified system in the Reading Simplified Academy, as Stormy mentioned, and that is a paid membership with virtual training like this, including videos, student materials, and ongoing professional development in a discussion board, which we call the Teacher's Lounge. So that is actually open right now. We just are opening it up. August seems like a good time to do that. So if you haven't joined before or this piques your interest, we'll be dropping the link. Greg, you can go ahead and do that now for anyone who wants to know about that. Mostly we're going to see how these activities integrate so well with Seesaw. And
for those of you that have been using Seesaw for a while, if you don't know about the new Seesaw Canvas, it just came out like 1 month ago, these new releases, right? And you might have been seeing amazing activities done. So I've made this template that I'm going to show and share in the new Seesaw Canvas. So I'll show you that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, I got to put it up there. There we go.
Okay. And so what you're seeing is my teacher page for my sample class. And I'm going to drag it over here for a little bit.
Nice.
All right. So you can still see the page. What I'm going to do is go into my activities, and that's where this is stored. If you're not new to Seesaw, you know about the journal, right? And that's where you see your students' work. And I'm going to share a collection of probably more Seesaw information than you'll ever need, that you can go through and choose what you need to learn about and how it fits your situation, because we all have different other tools we have to incorporate Seesaw with. So this is an activity I made with the new Seesaw Canvas because Dr. Ginsberg, really supported us last year when we went to Reading Simplified. To remote learning, and the Reading Simplified teachers in the Academy were, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We have this amazingly powerful instructional, not just intervention, but instructional method, right? But it's one-on-one, right? But, we found some ways to do things but it wasn't everything. So I hope I can build on what we did last semester together as a Reading Simplified teachers and show you something, maybe not new, but maybe a more simple way to do it. So the first thing I'm going to show you is Switch It, and Switch It is a routine in the Reading Simplified Academy. You know, one of the steps in the process, I guess you could say. But this is really best done even remotely, one-on-one. So in a shared Google Doc, in a shared PowerPoint, if you can see the student and hear them, that's the absolute best way to do it remotely. But sometimes that's not possible, right? So I'll show you a possible way.
And this one page that we're looking at is kind of like a lesson template for the whole session, right? This is kind of a table of contents for what we're going to see.
Yes, and so I'm going to kind of go back, Reading Simplified theory and Seesaw theory, right? Mm-hmm. So what you're seeing now, I'm going to put on my Seesaw hat. What you're seeing now is possible because of the new Seesaw canvas. You see these little paper clips? They're linkable objects. And if you used Seesaw before and you brought in a Google Clash or a Google Doc and you put it here and you had to get the links right, you're going to love this because it simplifies. And if you never used this before now, you're never going to have to know those headaches. The first activity I'm going to do is click on the link and it links within the document to the Switch It board, right? So that page, let me go back home. This page could be set up in Seesaw for a daily activities board, right? The choice board, however you wanted to do it. And all of the links here were made within Seesaw, before I had to use something else and put it in, and this saved hours of time. So all of the links link to another page in Seesaw. If you could see over here on my right side, maybe your left side of the screen, all these, they look like PowerPoint slides. That's what these are linking to. And so when I click on this paperclip link, it links to something called Switch It. Yes, the student can just click on the other slide, but they might not know where to go. And my students, depending on the type of device they had, they couldn't get to the side, right? And so this just makes it simple. And now I'm going to switch back to the Reading Simplified theory of teaching. So for the Switch It, we like to do this face-to-face. We like students to be manipulating letter tiles. We like to hear them saying the phonemes. We like to, you know, kind of see their thinking as much as we can, right? This is the best way I found to replace that if the student can't meet with me every day. So the first thing they're going to do, I would build this word with them, but if they're not with me, I've already built the word. In Seesaw now, you can record these little sound things, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that at the end. So right now, I'm just going to push play and let you hear it.
Let's blend as we read the first word. Smell. Smell.
All right, and so the student should be blending to read with me, right? And I teach second graders, so for my second graders who are at a lower level, I would replace this thing and I would use that word in a sentence. Or maybe if you're a kinder or first teacher, right? So you can really differentiate the same activity depending on what your learner needs at that level, right? Or when I go into multi-syllable words with my students, you know, advanced phonics, then those words, of course, I would use in a sentence. So it's totally personal. You can personalize it for your students. Then they go to the next step.
Now you're going to go from smell to spell. Your new word is spell.
Okay, and even though that was just a brief little clip, they could always, and you might be thinking, well, how are they going to know what to do? Good question. There's this little video now that you can embed into Seesaw. So notice that I have a video embedded here of me talking, and I'm going to play that in a moment. I have 5 individual little recordings just on this page that are easy for them to manipulate, right? So I'm going to push this, and you can have a brief thing of how you would leave the instructions if you can't do this with your students.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to this really cool way to do switch it. So in this activity, you are going to start with the word on the top, and then you're going to push the button with the speaker next to each box. You are going to be switching out sounds to make new words. When you are done, either typing in or writing in the response in each.
So I'll stop that. These videos are in the activity that I'm sharing with you, but they could easily be replaced. If I was on the teacher version and not the student, I can unlock this, delete it, move it, do whatever I want.
And how did you make the videos and the audio and find the images? I think that's going to be really exciting for teachers to hear.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I used to do is use Screencast-O-Matic or Screencastify or something else and embed them. Now I did all of this that you see inside the new Seesaw canvas. And that's what I'm excited about. I don't have to go 15 places, and it just works, right? So then my students will go down, and something I want to point out, this looks like, and when I was creating it, this is what I thought. This looks like those, I think they're called word ladders, where you go from can to pan to plan to, right? But they're all a word family, right? Well, in Reading Simplified, we know that we don't want them just to manipulate the beginning sound all the time. We want them to listen to the word and use those little sparks in their head to figure out, you know, what part of the word they need to switch to build the new word. When they're building the new word, they can use the text tool and type it if they're on a computer like I am, or they can use the drawing tool and they can write it. So even if they want to write it and it's with a mouse and it looks like this, I'm a teacher, I can read that.
Magic powers.
So magic powers. But you want them to, we're not with them, and it might be a few hours before you see them again to give them feedback. So there's a way to give them feedback. And I want to also model that there's actually another instructional video inside here. Let's check it out.
So I'm going to show you how to use this tool really quick. So you have a card called a word check. This is going to check your work to see if you got the right answers, all right? So you simply click and drag this box around, and let's see what happens. There's a word. That word is friend. Yes. See if we see any more words in here. There's a word, hello. It's kind of hidden on the side, right? So I would just drag it around. You are just going to drag it to the side of your word boxes, and you'll be able to check your work. If yours is not the same, push the button again to listen again and learn from your mistake. Have fun.
All right, and then the student should, and I'm going to include this in a lot of, I have to click the point, select tool right here. And then if they drag this magic box, they can check their work.
Wow.
It's called ink layering, right? And then I see that, oh, that doesn't look the same. Let me check this again. And this is what I hope they do. Listen again. Check their work.
Now you're going to go from
right.
Smell.
That's what we hope they do, to learn from their mistakes, right? And that's really instant feedback. So we know, let me drag this tool over. I'm not going to grade this anyways. It's really just to get them to practice these skills. And then if I would have played the entire instructions, I want them to push this record button and read those words to me before they turn it in. And to turn it in, they just all the way on the right up there, or maybe up there, I don't know which way I'm pointing, but there's
You're right.
And as soon as, if they're not done with it, they can push the draft and then it'll save it. They can come back to it. If they're done, then they push the check and it goes to me, right? Since I have multi things to do in this assignment. I'm going to draft it or just go back home and it'll save it. But even if they copied me and they used the word check and they said, I know the words are under there, I'm just going to write them, they still have to read it to me. So guess who wins? The teacher, right? So I'm done with this activity, or I'm done as much as I'm going to do. So I'm going to go back home and I'm going to click on the paperclip again. And it's going to take me back home. And then students will find this magic marker. So cool, I'm done with it. I go from 1 to 2, and then number 2, if you're part of the Reading Simplified Academy, this looks very familiar to you. And you can create this in a cool template as well, like I did the Switch It one. But I wanted you to see how this relates to what we did for the advanced phonics for the Sort It. And so instructions again, right here.
Hello, and welcome to our word list, Sort It. Today you're going to sort words with the A sound. You're going to hear the A sound in these words, but it's going to be spelled different. You are to read the word list above. For each word, you're going to sort it by writing it or typing it into the box below the spelling for the A sound. If you need help to read the list, click on this little box right here, and I will read you the word list. Good luck.
Okay, and the kid's going to want to read the, push the button anyway. So then there's another instructional video.
Let's say these words together.
So I thought that was the coolest thing about the new Seesaw Canvas.
Make.
And if I click on this, I could even make it go bigger.
Paper. Wait. Day.
And you see that it recorded the pointer.
Take.
That record tool records everything you say and everything you do. It doesn't record your face on that one, just everything you say and do.
Sound.
So let me come back small here.
This is an exact template that you can copy and just replace with new content. So you don't have to do spell. You use the exact same frame, and then tomorrow, the next day, perhaps you use flap, and you create a different Switch It word list, and maybe you do A again, or maybe you move on to the I sound. So she's giving this rich resource that's already built for you, but also she's going to show us how, frankly, it's not that complicated to learn how to do the same type of thing.
Because I teach second grade, I would want my students to do 2 stories, right? But if you didn't want them to do 2 stories, you just don't include 2 stories. And I wanted to emulate what you're already familiar with in the Reading Simplified Academy. So you see, this is the exact same thing we would do, together, right? And then the students, if they're already familiar with it, they'll already know. Or when you go back to the classroom and you're using those materials, you're not reteaching how to do something, right? So again, here's a read aloud. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'll just show you that it's a read aloud of this story.
How many days? How many days have my baby?
So since the sound's not clear anyways, I won't play the whole thing, but it's right there above the story so they can hear me and track along. And the intent here is that they find words with this sounds and the different spellings of them and sort it, right? So it's just taking the same concept of sort it and using it in text with words, pulling the words out and doing another sort it, right? So the same concept, the power of Reading Simplified. And then, well, that's great. When are the kids going to write? Oh, there's a write it activity. And you see, this is simply lines. You could use any lined, paper that they write on here. And then again, I am dictating, so this is dictation, but the sentence comes from that level of words, right? So again,
Great work so far.
I'm just going to tell you that I say, okay, our sentence is, repeat after me. And I forgot what the sentence is, and they can check their work. All they have to do is move this box to check. And initially, I got to get the select tool. Initially, I would model this a little more, have more instructions if they haven't used Seesaw before themselves. But I teach them how to use the tool. I don't teach them how. They use the tool during back to school activities. Like, tell me about yourself in Seesaw. That word checker tool, I would have them do a word hunt just to use it, just like we would with math manipulatives in the class. We don't give them to them the first day we want them to use them. We let them explore. So it's really the same thing with Seesaw or any tool, any resource, right? So that's all those activities, and you're going to get this entire activity. You push save activity and it goes to your activity library. You can save and copy and edit, change it, save it, whatever you want to do, right? Before we go, I also put down in the pages that aren't linkable more templates. I also put some teacher tips because you're going to forget those little tips I just gave you. Create the text in the same color as the background, and then students self-check. So that's how I did that magic with the word check. It tells you right there. So you don't even have to remember how I did that. Just know it was amazing. And then a tip on how to record a slide. You'll notice that this story will move and rotate, and I can do anything with, and it's just a screen clip of the story, right? Or I could have typed text. I could have done anything. And then to get that magic recording of this, I want to make it bigger, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. I'm going to push this microphone and start recording. Let's see what happens. And I'm recording now, and it's going to record everything I say and everything I do. So it's going to see this mouse pointer. If I write something on this screen, like I'm going to go ahead and highlight for you. I'm going to hunt for you in my magic thing. I'm doing the hunt for you. I'm doing the work. Or I want to maybe point out some words we had trouble with before. Maybe this, many is a difficult word often. So I might, tell them, make sure you pay attention. I wouldn't cross it off, but I think you get the idea. And then I'm going to push done. And it looks like it just took over my whole screen. Push the select. I'm going to drag this a little. And with the magic of this Seesaw canvas, I'm just going to drag this down. And now I have this little itty bitty recording. And you saw how easy it is for the student to make it big if they wanted. But most students might not even need the read aloud after a certain point, right? So that's how I did that. And I didn't go outside of Seesaw and bring a link and YouTube it. And I did it all in Seesaw Canvas. You just saw the magic, right? So I put that tip there. Another really quick tip, you see those buttons that the students clicked for the switch it. I wanted them to see them, and it was difficult to not get them to shrink too much. So I put this template in here of the entire thing. So all I have to do again is push my microphone, start recording. Now switch from spell to spill. Spell to spill. Or however big you want it. You could put any picture here. You could have put an ear. You could put a speaker, whatever you use as an icon for your students, right? So that's a template in there for you. This is how to use the word check again. I recorded that big box. I didn't record a little bitty box. I recorded this big box of words when I did this read aloud. I didn't record the little one that's showing on that page. And I'll show you what it will look like when this student has recorded in the activity. So I'm going to go to activities, and this is the activity I assigned to my students, but I don't see any responses. If I click on this tab right here, this bar, now I see what students haven't done it. I see what students have done it. So if it's just a routine, you just want them to do it every day, but you're not exactly going to check it every day, you can easily see the sample student and Lita probably need a conversation, right? To motivate them along. So that's the new Seesaw Canvas with Reading Simplified, amazing activities. And I hope that was helpful. And more information will be In the link, the collection has more Seesaw information than you'll need.
The stuff that she gave us today, the gold, the jewels are up here in this top circle. If you click this here, it will give you that Seesaw template that she's already created. And so you just need to go out, change the words, change some text, change your sorted pages week to week, but you can keep that template fairly consistent. And then the second circle are all those Seesaw tutorials. So if you get stuck, she's got a great Wakelet collection of lots of different Seesaw tutorials. But this one really packs a punch in and of itself. So if you want to go back to watch this again, you can just go to our Reading Simplified Facebook page, which you'd find by searching for Reading Simplified, and just scroll back a little bit, maybe click on videos and you'll find it. If you go to this website, then there'll be a place to get this guide, the Streamlined Plan for Teaching and Reading Online. And we added these fabulous gifts to us from Stormy. Thank you so much. It is quite mind-boggling, and how much it can do and how much time it's going to save us.
One thing I forgot to mention was the most important part is the students. Students can manipulate the letter tiles if you need them to. Students can write on it. Students can record their voice, which is the most powerful thing, is getting students to record their voice. Mm-hmm. So even if it's nothing but having the student explain what they did in an activity, that's much more valuable than any writing they did on the screen.
Well, when they take action, as she said, and they write and they record, they're much more likely to stay connected, to stay engaged, and then to be able to hear one another's voice is not going to be really the same thing at all as the classroom, but it's a good second best to fill in some of the gaps. And so we hope that this will make you start to think about ways to become a great online teacher and still reach those kids who might not be able to show up for your Zoom or your Google Meet session, that type of thing. So
on that note, the feedback we can give to students is priceless, because we could give feedback with our voices. We could give feedback, we could even send an activity back to them, give feedback and send it back to them and give them a chance to, actually improve. I think that's what learning is. And then if you make it so students can comment on each other, you have the option to turn that off. But once your students are autonomous and have digital citizenship skills, then it's a really good thing to have students giving each other feedback.
Yeah, one of our key routines in the Reading Simplified small group or one-on-one instructional framework is rereading for fluency. We have 3 parts: rereading for fluency, word work like you saw with the switch it and the sort it, and then reading a new text. But almost every kid likes to keep listening to themselves read again and again. So it's not that hard to trick them into repeated readings if they're going to get to hear themselves. If you go to this webpage, How to Teach Reading Online, and you'll see this pop up in the right-hand corner, get the free guide. So that free guide is what this is, and that's where the PDF clickable links are. Another way to get it would be just to scroll down, and you would see it here in the center. It's also at the bottom of the page. So it's just a couple different places to find the Streamlined, How to Teach Reading Online Streamlined Guide. So, and then you can, once you do that, you'll get this PDF in your email. Okay, so building a relationship is probably our job number 1. And maybe job number 2 this year will be to make sure that we don't burn ourselves out with stress and overwork. And I think Seesaw, and I hope the Reading Simplified activities are, like I said at the top of the hour, a great marriage of way of boosting our kids, but also saving us some time. If you want to join the Reading Simplified Academy, we're open for a season. And you can learn the system that she was talking about so that you can accelerate your beginning or your struggling readers.
Another amazing thing about Seesaw is that there's this community of teachers who are so brilliant and generous. There's a Seesaw library of activities that, if a teacher wanted to submit something, they get submitted, and then they go. Actually, Seesaw goes through every single one to kind of vet the content. but you still want to go through them, and free. So these teachers are powerful and amazing, and it's a great community, just like the Reading Simplified community, and the Seesaw community.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're members, we're going to get some more goodies from Stormy some other time. Let's figure out, in the teacher's lounge, ask the questions. We'll be getting that dialogue going, and she's going to help us refine our practice. So this is not a once and done if you're a Reading Simplified Academy member. So keep eye on the teacher's lounge and our private Facebook group so that you can hear more about this as we move into the school year. And I'm sure Stormy will learn more but also be able to help you along the way. So thanks for your time, and thanks for being so generous and so clever. And yeah, we got great ideas, Stormy from Cindy. Thank you again.
Would you like future complimentary trainings like this here at Reading Simplified? Then make sure you ring the bell here at YouTube to become a subscriber so that you learn more of our ways of streamlining instruction and accelerating students' reading achievement. And you can also find us on Facebook at Reading Simplified, usually on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go live with other complimentary trainings, and we give away some freebies for teachers and parents. So I hope to see you here again next time on YouTube or even on Facebook. Take care.